Hi everyone, I'm Marco from AQ Strong here in Hong Kong. We're an athletic development company, and today we're going to be getting into the investment climate around Asia with sports technology. Sports technology in the last year is really taking off. There's been a lot of investment across Asia and globally in how technology is changing the health, fitness, wellness, and sports spaces. Today we have the pleasure of meeting with Loron and JB from Asia Sports Tech. They're a leading company here in Hong Kong that is working with mergers and acquisitions, working with investors to really develop the sports technology space across Asia. So I'll hand it over to Loron and to JB to introduce themselves and a little bit about Asia Sports Tech and what they do.
Hi everyone, we're happy to be here today, and I'm joined by my founding partner, Jean-Baptiste and myself, Loron Orris. And our vision for Asia Sports Tech is to accelerate the transformation of the sports and well-being ecosystems in Asia. We do this through our large team of advisors and subject matter experts that are located in offices throughout Greater China and Southeast Asia. Our focus is really to provide to our broad list of international clients services around go-to-market and growth strategies, as well as innovation strategies, and we also provide capital advisory to a growing list of clients.
Well, it's a very impressive resume of work that Asia Sports Tech is getting into. In the last year or two, we've seen a lot of activity of investment in sports tech and in the global growth of sports tech, especially coming here to Asia. And I know you guys are a key player in that. So what's the investment climate been like in Asia in particular in sports technology?
Marco, thanks a lot for this question, for hosting us today. The investment climate globally around sports, health, fitness, well-being has been booming over the last, let's say, 3-4 years. We have seen an acceleration of this investment over the last 18-24 months with more and more consumers focusing their wallet towards spending into health and sports and fitness. So we have seen the same acceleration in Asia, even more acceleration thanks to a strong and even stronger government support that will come into it later. We have seen, and at the same time, in this part of the world, with China and India leading transformation and bringing change to new consumer, we are seeing definitely a faster CAGR versus other countries as these territories are catching up. We know that this region is starting from maybe lower base and people want to start consuming. So in terms of CAGR, let's say for this kind of health, fitness, well-being ecosystem, let's say in Europe and North America, from 2018 to 2023, we'll have, let's say, 5 to 6% CAGR. Here we more look at a 9 to 10% CAGR. So we can see why more and more investors, also from this part of the world, are more and more interested in looking at these sectors, not only from a hobby perspective, but really from an investment perspective.
Really interesting, the investment climate in Asia. Loron, what are the key market drivers that are driving all that investment?
So one of the key things in Asia, of course, is the huge populations that are here. And if you think about it, very urban and as well very digitally connected, with 5G, of course, being put throughout all the different systems here. But what's really changing the ecosystem is government. Government is playing a huge role in all of these markets. They're pushing health and well-being. They're pushing more, creating sports and esports and fitness and well-being as larger industries. And so they're putting a lot of emphasis on that. Then you add in COVID and the huge transformation that's resulted from that. And really what it's done is it's caused an acceleration of digital transformation in all of the different industries. And this is what's driving a huge amount of the transformation in the region. And then, of course, you've got, starting from an early base in a number of these industries where people want to consume more. They're getting not only involved in sports and more active, but as well involved in the business of sports and building that out.
And which government do you think is the most friendly towards this development? Which is leading the charge?
I think in that space, that the one where people look at is China, where it's very much, they set out everything from what they want to do. You think about the initiatives around the Beijing Olympics and getting 300 million people active in winter sports. You look at what's happening around young and youth and getting them more active and making sure that it's part of all different elements of the business culture as well.
The market for sports, health, fitness, wellness is vibrant in Asia, as we've learned. What's attracting venture capital and private equity firms in particular to invest in sports technology?
And there are several factors that is definitely attracting venture capitalists and private equity firms to focus more and more in that sector. So the first one is, as we learned from Loron, macroeconomic trends are getting stronger and stronger, especially with government backing, government support. China National Fitness Plan, and as we know, when China starts, the rest of Asia is competing. So every other government around the region has tried to say, we need a health plan, we need a sports plan, we need a health plan. So there is a lot of support in building infrastructure, changing education model, looking at youth. So we know that the ecosystem is supporting the growth of sports, health, and fitness. So this is a very important first factor. The second factor, I would say, is we have seen globally the effect and these billion-dollar sports and sports tech companies coming into the public market, raising capital, from the Peloton to the Whoops and across the entire ecosystem, which have given confidence about investors that there is actually great return to make in that space. And I would say the third point is also investors have seen the evolution over the last, let's say, 24 months of the Asian consumer behavior. So as we is focusing on more and more investors in this part of the world are focusing on Asian consumer trends, whatever it is, sports, health, and fitness is becoming a growing part of the Asian consumer basket. And thanks to that, they believe that we need to fuel future companies and future, I would say, successful unicorns in this part of the world that will be adapted to Asian consumers. If there is a last point I could add, is we have seen that in sports and health tech, the predominance and the increasing value of data. And we know that the future techs around sports and health will help us to create the future database of what are the Asian athletes, what are the Asian consumer behavior, and we know that there will be opportunities around that are not being cracked yet, and I think a lot of investors are looking at that part.
Are there any deals that happened in the last year or in the last year and a half that you've really seen as changing the landscape and that you guys are excited about or say that's where the future is going?
Yeah. So great question. Thank you, Marco. I think two that are symbolic. So the first one is Fisher in China. People talk about it as the mirror of China, but it's really more than that, because as you think about China often leapfrogs different stages of development, and so instead of it being like mirror, it's actually mirror cube. I mean, there's so many more features. If you think of like in Asia, where in China, certainly super apps that combine many different apps, whereas you might have one in North America. Same with Fisher. It's got AI component. It's doing a lot of things that are very, very different. So that one's interesting. Series A round, they raised $70 million, which is massive, by a variety of companies, including C Ventures. So you're seeing, and that's an investment firm from Hong Kong. So you're seeing growth there. Then the other one is Dream 11 out of India. That one's really around fantasy sports. It started obviously based in cricket, but it's expanded into a variety of sports, including NBA and others. And so that one really shows the focus around really fan engagement that's growing in India. So if you look at those two markets, there's some real opportunities, and there's many, many more to come.
So Fisher in China and Dream 11 in India really representing what's happening in the Asian markets. It seems like China and India are taking the lead. two questions: how do foreign investors get involved in the local markets, and how are the local markets? What else is happening in the rest of Asia? How are the local markets changing?
Well, certainly China and India are very dominant in this space, and if you look at the size of the deals, China and India are number 2 and 3 in terms of the size of the overall deals. But what you're seeing that's very interesting is you're seeing this shift in really movement up the value chain. You've had companies that used to be just maybe manufacturing something, or OEMs, and they're moving up the chain. And you look at this case with both Fitcher and Dream 11, where they actually have gone more local. They've gone back into their markets, and in part because the opportunity is massive. So they'll build out their own local market, capitalize on that, and then at the right time, they'll actually go global. So think about TikTok. No one saw, we've watched those and seen that grow, but then all of a sudden, boom, it becomes an international product and sensation. And so I think we're going to see more and more of that. Even if you look at, like in India alone, there's something like 800 sports tech related startups, which is incredible. But of course, the predominance and knowledge around software. And then in China, there's about 150 as well. And so this whole ecosystem is going to continue to grow. And again, if you tie in what we were talking about earlier, the consumption of sports by consumers, the desire for more experiences, it's only going to accelerate and grow even larger.
So with this vibrant market in Asia, and investors investing in the last year, certainly we have the elephant in the room. The pandemic has changed also how people are behaving. How have investors changed their behavior or their interests? What are they looking for in emerging technology and in these markets for sports tech?
What's very interesting is, as we all have been personally more focused on our health since the start of the pandemic, investors have started to look at this sector as definitely a growing asset class. However, as the market, we needed a bit of time to get a lot of local companies, and then we need the government supporting those companies. So step by step, we are getting a nicer and larger deal flow of early stage companies around sports, health, entertainment, well-being, to bring a holistic view to the Asian consumer. So we definitely see, of course, more and more foreign investors start to understand that there is a massive growth opportunity, but of course the Asian investors are the closest to those markets. So they are actually accelerating their pace of investment much faster than we have ever seen, and a growing interest across every category. A lot of people also coming from traditional brick and mortar business, which is real estate, which is manufacturing, which are more hardware businesses, moving to more digital and integration of digital and physical. So we definitely see, I would say, 3 main categories of investment. One that we call the human performance. So how will the future of human performance in Asia be? There is a lot of room to take and a lot of unicorn to build in that space. And then when I mean human performance, I mean not only the athletes, but I say the physical athlete, but also the corporate athletes. The second angle is, let's say, sports and entertainment. We know there is a lack of content and we are all eager to consume it, because it's not always easy to consume it at 2 or 3 in the morning. So there is more and more growth around content and investment towards that, with the future content. And we see it, let's say, with the acceleration of investment around esports, which is another level here. It's part of the core entertainment. And we believe, and we started to see trends where global massive Asian esports player actually become in a more holistic player across sports categories too, because they have a very large audience base that they want to cross-sell and make them consume hobby dollars, how I call them. And then the third category, I would say, is really focused on the health and well-being, covering mental health and recovery and rehab. So this is a very large category that is impacting not only the sports, but also impacting what we call the silver economy, that is fast growing, that is accelerating. And if we know and analyze the China pyramid and the evolution of the age pyramid over the coming decades, we do see more and more opportunity in developing solutions around health, sport, and wellness for the silver economy. So investors are looking across all those, following local macroeconomic data, but also investing in the future and willing to risk dollars.
You guys also advise a lot of investors coming into the market, foreign investors. Any particular advice for the foreign investor who wants to invest in one of those three categories, what they should consider or how you might be able to help?
There are a lot of lot of differences, and those markets have become even more local over the last 24 months with COVID, especially China and India, as we called, because the ecosystem are unique in themselves. We have the super app ecosystem in China. Consumer behavior is very different. E-commerce is very different. Everything is very different and unique. Payment is different, etc. So the value chain are unique. So just applying and copy paste is rarely a success. There are opportunities. However, you do need a strong partner for your Asia go-to-market, for your Asia localization, and thanks to that, you will be allowed to bring into your cap table or into your group also Asian partners that will help you accelerating. The second thing is the maturity is a bit different. So the consumer is consuming in a different way. The market is much less mature. However, it's accelerating very fast. So we can't say, oh, those fundamentals of the market don't exist. I'm not willing to invest in this part of the world. I don't think we should. No, I think you should, because the fundamentals are just different. So it requires time to learn if you want to gather those growth opportunities. And the last thing I would say is market access. It's sometimes complex because deals are brokered in a very different way, and investors are coming from very different circles. So people may say from the foreign world may see a lack of sometimes transparency. However, there isn't when you know who to talk to, how to access those, and having access to the right deals. So we do believe there is a lot, because at the moment those sectors are open for investment and open for foreign firms to tap in, at the contrary of what may be depicted in some of the medias. So there is a lot of willingness to accelerate this space. And we do believe that those smart Asian investors will be really willing to work with North American, European, and other Asian firms to accelerate their brand, their push in this part of the world.
That there's a real opportunity for the future of health, wellness, fitness, especially integrating technology or becoming a technology company. So I think one of the questions that I have for Loron and JB is, how can businesses capitalize on all the innovations and changes in technology now? Where should they be investing and putting resources?
I think the first thing is have a strategy. I mean, I think a lot of companies were caught blindsided during COVID. Not necessarily having a strategy, but really, it's really critical to really have your approach, know what you want to do around innovation, look at digital transformation in all parts of your business, not only because you need to do it to survive, but your customers now want it. We can't believe the amount and the shift of people in terms of wanting more data, looking after their health. But that's been a huge transformational shift in all elements around fitness and well-being, but as well we see it across other businesses that we work with around innovation. Everyone needs to do this, and it's got to be a consistent process that you go through, and it's really getting closer to your customers. And I think this has forced this issue that was kind of out there for a while, that now is critical, and the strong companies will survive. You know, we talked about it probably about a little over 2.5 years ago, where it was around inside out, outside in. In other words, when someone's coming to a gym, for example, they're there for a couple hours of their day. What are they doing the other 22 hours? How are you connecting with them? How are you providing them other opportunities? What else are you doing to activate and be involved in their lives? Because many of them want that. They want that consistency, and it's become more and more important with all the changes that have happened due to COVID.
Yeah, and speaking as an owner-operator, you guys have been really helpful in us implementing an athlete management system, and the ability to take advantage of all the technology that's out there, integrate it into one central system, but then have a real conversation with your customers to really impact their life. has been powerful. So I can attest to what you're
Very
saying
true.
about having a strategy.
Very true. And one of the things that people may not have seen is this with around sports tech and health tech is really what's happened is it's this democratization of this technology. So you think about it, a lot of this technology was used with the most elite athletes in the world, right? And literally where they're monitored all the time. All of these technologies, or many of these technologies, are available now to people who want to apply them. The key issue is learning about them, understanding them, and then applying to what makes most sense for your business. But it's critical that they do that.
Yeah, and as a coach, that gets me
Yeah.
excited, because now I can bring these high-level solutions to everybody.
Yes.
So it's really wonderful capability.
And also you have a connection with them when they're not here. And so you can know what they're doing. You can survey them. How are you feeling? You can just, all those different things are a key part of helping them to excel and to be even better athletes.
And maybe to add is in addition to that, as an operator in this business, Marco, you can deliver a much more holistic 24/7 experience, and not only be the one who just show the moves, you actually their 24/7 life coach that everyone in this industry aspire to be and is in that industry to achieve that as a goal. So, and it allows you, in addition to that, it allows you to create much more engagement with your clients, deliver metrics, deliver success, and explaining the success you have been delivering. So this is something I think very important. In every business we do, in every company in the world, you need to deliver KPIs to show success of your strategy. Whatever you do, whether you recruit, whether you invest, whether you coach. So I do believe that nowadays clients are more and more demanding in this part, because they are used to look at data on their phone. They are used to more and more of their wearables. They start to get much more familiar with it. So if the professionals are not moving even ahead in those sports tech trends that are coming from, let's say, B2B, sports, professional, and healthcare towards more prosumer, then there will be business model that won't last because they can't adapt to the customer demand and the interest in understanding their body better thanks to data.
Cool. And I'm amazed at the robust environment of local businesses that are really growing in Asia, especially around technology, sports technology, fitness technology. But what about the international brands and the international businesses that want to come into Asia? How are they navigating the landscape? Any advice for them or how they're doing it?
There's really two things that I think are important for companies that want to come into Asia. First one is really working with people that have experience in the region. It's a very vast, great, huge population, but very vast, very different. Each market is different. And really to get an understanding of who to work with, you want to work with people that have real insight on what's happening on the ground. Not just what's happening now, but what is happening in the future. And one thing for sure in Asia, as I was saying earlier, it leapfrogs different stages of industries. It's very dynamic and it moves very quickly. So you need people with the insight. And then the second thing, as we all know, is that it's really network. This is very much a top-down culture, and you want to go in at the top and speak with the key decision makers right from the start. And that gets built through, over time, through trust and through building a great network. And we're proud of the network we have with well over 100 years of experience around all the different industries and our subject matter experts that know their space extremely well. That's an example of what you want to be looking for when you're looking to work with and enter the market.
It's a strong background, and you guys are making an impact in the industry. And just in the conversations that we have, even including today, we can see how rapidly it's changing, and you really do need somebody who has their finger on the pulse as to how the industry is evolving and all the different pieces, how they especially come together to create both an investment opportunity and better solutions for the consumer market.
Very true, Marco. Both of us have been out here for years. I've been out here over 26 years. JV's been out here 15 years. And we're seeing this is yet another wave. And this one, we've seen all the different waves of the transformation of the ecosystems here. This one feels different. This one feels like it's really starting to move quite quickly, and it's around all the different trends we've seen. Population, digital adoption, 5G, which is everywhere. All of these different things tied in with the sports ecosystem, and people wanting to be more fit, all those are going to power this region.
Any final thoughts on how they can get started, on what's the next step for them to come into Asia and to say, this is an opportunity that we'd like to get involved in?
Reach out. We're always open to have a great discussion. Yeah, we're always, we want to learn too what people are looking for when they come into the market, right? And because sometimes there can be something new that gets brought in there. And as I said, this region often adapts and then creates its own opportunities. And one thing's for sure, it's definitely happening in this region. So lots and lots of opportunities.
Okay.
And if we can avoid, assist them to avoid few mistakes and introduce them to few right contacts, and de-risk them.
Yeah.
This is what we.
I wish I met you guys a couple of years ago.
This is what we like to do.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
like to de-risk you as soon as possible, because that's the best way to push your valuation in the quickest way. So this is what we try to assist people with our network and our expertise. And we had a lot of successful cases, but we believe there is a lot more to come. So we're very excited to be part of the Fit Summit family and support every business that are part of this ecosystem.